And earlier today, I sat down with the Russian ambassador to the UK, Andrei Kelin, and I started by asking him what message it sent to the world about how serious Russia is about climate change when President Putin chose not to attend in person.
Well, I think that the assessments will be given after it will be over, of course. But in the meantime, what I can say as an ambassador in this country is that, of course, it took place in a right time. It has alerted very much governments, private industry, people in the countries about the importance of the problem. It has raised awareness about the problem, which is good, I think. As for my country, I will say that the government has taken a very serious program in October this year, which is about low carbon emission of social economic development by the year 2050. And there is a target of the year 2060 when we would like to reach the carbon emission neutrality. It doesn't mean that it can happen earlier, but it will depend on technologies, on financement, and on the balance between all these issues. This program has been presented by the Vice Prime Minister, and we have very important figures from the government and industry in Glasgow who are explaining what has happened.
But it is the symbolism as well, isn't it, this message to the world of the attendance of the President of the Russian Federation himself. And I mean, there are some suggestions that perhaps President Putin doesn't take climate change quite as seriously as he should. Let me read you a quotation from him from 2017, where he talks about the causes of climate change, say they're caused by changes of global character, cosmic changes, some invisible moves in the galaxy. That doesn't seem to accept that they're man-made, that they're anthropogenic.
We are very much alert to the whole issue because the rise of temperature in Russia is going quicker than in many other countries. And as I said, the program has been done quickly in October, just on the eve of the Glasgow summit, but it was preceded also by the Rome summit of G20, and some world leaders decided to present the pledges, some decided not to present, they trusted other people to it. So in our case, it was a very high level of the presentation. But it is not, I wouldn't say that's not very important to advertise the program to the others. We are simply doing it, what we intended to do.
But what about the goals you mentioned there? Net zero by 2060, not 2050 from Russia,
Right.
Not signed up to the methane
Right.
reduction program, and indeed on coal, not going to phase that out entirely. Does that not show a lack of urgency?
No. The difficulty is that there is very low knowledge about what we are doing, really. The balance of our energy production is really green. It is 40% of green energy, of hydro energy, solar energy, plus others, and atomic energy, nuclear energy, 40% in the balance. If you add gas to it, it will make about 86%, very high figure. You will not find a similar figure in Germany, for instance. It is close to United States. United States is about 76% of green energy. So we are very low production of coal at the moment, and we continue to do that. Another figure which is important, during last 20 years, it is each year we are reducing emission of green gases by 2.7%. It is higher than another 7 countries, so it's a high figure.
Let me ask you then about gas and gas supply and how dependent Europe is upon the supply of Russian gas. And it's been said that Russia is restricting supplies. It's flowing a bit more now, I know, restricting supplies to Western Europe to first and foremost get fast approval for the vast Nord Stream 2 pipeline, but also to put political pressure on the West.
Well, I heard about that, and this is not very much truth and not at all. Gazprom has a lot of responsibility, and its primary responsibility lays inside Russia. We have had a very cold winter last year and very hot summer. And so the storage capacities are at a low point in Russia as well as in Europe. So the primary task for Gazprom was to fulfill our own domestic storage capacities. Plus, the government is now making the program of gasification of alienated regions. So it needs also a lot of efforts from Gazprom. By yesterday, as it was announced earlier, Gazprom has fulfilled this task, domestic task. It is now increasing its pipes, increasing its pipe supplies to Europe, and it is now doing it in the 4 storages in Germany and in the one in Austria. So
but Russia would like to see the approval of Nord Stream 2 as quickly as possible. The construction is complete. It just needs that approval.
Well, it will be funny if I will going to contradict this point. Of course we do. Why not? We have the consortium of European countries has constructed it, has invested it, and a lot of efforts and a lot of money. And of course we anticipate that it will be approved.
Now, you'll be aware of Christopher Steele, who came to notoriety being involved, former security services agents from the UK, who came to notoriety for, amongst other things, developing the dossier during the Trump campaign in the United States. Now, we've interviewed him recently, and he has a theory that the ultimate goal of Russia is to actually collapse, and that's the word he uses, collapse the European Union. You know, could the issue of gas, could what's happening on the border of Belarus and Poland and the Baltic nations, could that be part of that program?
Well, I will say I'm amazed and surprised about the reaction in the European Union to what is happening over there. It is about 2,000 of immigrants who are now gathered, or perhaps 4,000, because estimations of BBC say and the other sources a bit different. About from 4,000 to 2,000 immigrants are now at the border between Poland and Belarus. Simply saying that UK is accepting in a good day when Calais, the Strait of Calais is calm, about 1,000 of immigrants, and altogether it's about 20,000 of immigrants that has been received peacefully in the United Kingdom this year only. So what is all about it?
But it's more than 2,000 coming from Belarus. Lithuania already has accepted 4,000.
No. The figures are much lower. First of all is that it should be principles of humanitarian law that should be applicable here. Then, of course, a matter of goodwill as well. So there is laws in the European Union and international laws about immigrants. The problem is blown up, of course, and it is very controversial. When the European Union was dealing with Turkey, of course, it preferred to pay to Turkey to leave these immigrants inside the country. And remember the history about Hungary and immigrants which were coming via Romania. Everybody was blaming Hungary for not receiving the immigrants.
But President Lukashenko of Belarus is laying on extra flights to places like Baghdad. He's encouraging the migrants to come to Minsk and then, in part, taking them to that border to put pressure upon the European Union. Now, Russia, President Putin could have a word. This is one of Russia's key allies. President Putin could have a word, could he not, with President Lukashenko and say, please stop that.
And they talked, I have no notion about the subject, how they discuss it, but I think absolutely that it is strange to see Polish troops, 12,000 of Polish troops, tanks and the others sealing the borders, that just simply not to help these people.
Can I ask you just broadly, does Russia recognize President Lukashenko as having been legitimately elected? Of course, in Western Europe, we regard it as a fraudulent election, that he's not there by popular vote.
It is wrong exception. The President Lukashenko is very popular in his own country, and you will see it. There is a change of constitution. Things will change. I do not know when and so far. You'd better ask about this ambassador of Belarus. But his popularity is unquestionable, absolutely.
Let's get on to UK-Russia relations, because we know that Prime Minister Boris Johnson and President Putin recently had a phone call, it was last month, in which Boris Johnson said that, of course, the two nations need to work together, but there are still significant problems. And what I'd like to ask you, Ambassador, is from the Russian perspective, what does the UK and other nations, what do we have to do to normalise these relations? From the UK perspective, of course, it's dealing with issues which we'll get onto in more detail in a moment or two, the Salisbury poisonings, the cyber attacks. From the Russian perspective, is it in part stop accusing us of doing those things?
You are right. President Putin and Prime Minister Johnson spoke on the eve of Glasgow conference, and they spoke for about 45 minutes. They discussed several subjects, and they fully agreed about one issue, that the relationship between United Kingdom and the Russian Federation are not one that they want. It's an important constatation. It's a desire of both leaders to bring a relationship between the two countries to a new and a better level, of course. I think that there was a good chance when UK has withdrawn from European Union for the United Kingdom to establish new and better relationship with Russia. It gives many new opportunities, also for businessmen as well. And I'm talking to British businessmen, and they're telling me that for them, of course, it will be better to deal in business with Russia than to go very far to the east for the terrains that do not bring immediate rewards and so on, and to talk to European countries and to deal business with Russian businessmen and with Russia, of course.
So Ambassador, you seem to be saying that Russia sees an opportunity for a UK-Russia trade deal, these much sought post-Brexit trade deals.
Much better, of course. We do believe that there are opportunities for mutually beneficial trade and mutually beneficial business, and for better exchanges between us. And we are expecting that British government will come to this conclusion pretty soon.
Are there any talks, even at the informal level, taking place on that issue, on a trade deal?
Very, very slow. No, not on the trade deal. Not on the trade deal, because British government some years ago has abolished all the governing bodies. We did have a joint commission on trade, and we did have a joint agency on energy. So all structures has been abolished by British government.
Well, I mean, you know what would help restore these relations is that attack in 2018 on British soil, a poisoning attack, killed a British citizen, attacked two Russian citizens, and carried out by Russian agents. There are now three names, we all know them, three names identified by the investigating authorities in the United Kingdom, and Boris Johnson says, hand them over for justice.
Mm-hmm. Well, this approach is not serious. I know that in this country, the criminal stories in the style of James Bond are very popular, of course, and they are appearing in the newspapers, they are being repeated in Westminster, and the government has to react. If you would like to put it on a serious basis, there are views, there are possibilities of a serious exchange on the level of the experts, on the level of special services, and so on. But British government is constantly denying this option of doing it.
But what about access to the suspects, either, perhaps in the Russian embassy here in London, or allow British police to interview them in Russia?
Like it is in the films.
Well, Ambassador, it's a very serious point, as they say.
Yes,
a British citizen has died, others have been permanently injured, and two Russian citizens nearly died.
Believe me, your appropriate authorities are perfectly aware how to deal with this, not through the newspapers, but how to deal with these issues properly and in a right way. Americans know how to do this. I do believe that Brits know it as well.
And the other issue, which one imagines could start to normalise or certainly improve relations, is the issue that I know that you've had discussions about when you were called in by the Foreign Office. This issue of cyber attacks, emanating from Russia, perhaps not necessarily traced all the way back to the Russian state, but you are hosting those that carry out these attacks.
Of course, yes. Everybody is accusing us, but the proponents of the evil group were arrested yesterday, as I understand. So among them are 2 Romanians and 1 Ukrainian, as I understand.